Hello, and welcome to Sideline Story. I'm Tianyu. When people think about motorcycle racing, they usually think of Italy, Japan, and maybe Spain. Brands like Ducati, Yamaha, and Honda have ruled the sport for decades. China is not really part of that conversation, at least not until now. But this season, a new name has started turning heads in the World Superbike Championship, or WSBK. That's one of the highest levels of production motorcycle racing in the world, where racing bikes are based on real motorcycles sold to the public. And in the World SSP category, that's the middleweight class, a Chinese manufacturer called ZXMOTO has suddenly become one of the biggest stories in the paddock.
It's his only podium finish. It was his best weekend of the season so far, a third backed up by a fourth.
This past weekend in the Czech round of the championship, French rider Valentin Debise won both races for ZXMOTO. The second race was especially dramatic. Debise started from pole position, but Turkish Yamaha rider Zhang Xue kept attacking him lap after lap. They traded the lead multiple times, pushing each other to the limit. And then came the final lap. Debise later explained that he intentionally chose a corner where he had never tried an overtake before. He knew Xue wouldn't expect it. He dived inside, completed the pass, blocked the counterattack line, and crossed the finish line just ahead. It was smart, aggressive racing, exactly the kind of finish that gets fans hooked on the sport.
Zhang Xue, the 2026 Supersport World Championship comes alive. Valentin Debise now the closest he's been all season to the series lead.
And with that win, ZXMOTO picked up his fifth victory of the season. Now, here's why this matters. ZXMOTO is not some giant company with 100 years of racing history. The brand is barely a few years old. Its founder, Zhang Xue, came from a poor mountain village in China's Hunan province. He left school at 14 and became a motorcycle repair shop apprentice because his family could not afford to support his education. But the bigger reason was simple. He fell in love with motorcycles. As a teenager, he became obsessed with racing. There's almost a legendary story from 2006. A local TV crew came to his hometown, and Zhang desperately wanted attention from racing teams. He kept calling reporters, asking for a chance to show his riding skills. And eventually, they agreed. But the problem is, it was pouring rain. He crashed multiple times trying to impress them. And the crew finally packed up and left. And most people would have gone home at that point, but Zhang Xue didn't. He chased the TV crew for more than 100 kilometers through cold rain on an old motorcycle because he believed that if somebody in racing saw him on television, maybe his life would change. At one point, the reporter asked him, "What if nobody wants you?" And Zhang answered with something that still gets quoted on Chinese social media today. If you don't try when you are young, you will definitely regret it when you are old. Eventually, he became a racer, then a mechanic, and then a motorcycle engineer, and finally a founder. Over the years, he helped build racing programs, developed motorcycles, and pushed Chinese bikes into international competitions that many people thought were impossible for Chinese brands to compete in. But here's the crazy part. Even after building a successful company once, he walked away and started over from scratch because he wanted to build his own engines and chase world-level racing success his own way. That became ZXMOTO. And now, suddenly, the dream is becoming real much faster than expected. Back in March, Debise gave the company its first WSBK victory in Portugal, winning by almost 4 seconds. For Chinese motorsports, it was historic, the first time a Chinese motorcycle manufacturer had won at this level against the established giants. Since then, the momentum has exploded. Motorcycle orders reportedly jumped massively after the first win. Fans started traveling across China just to visit the factory. Social media clips of Zhang Xue celebrating victories with raw emotion, sometimes waving the Chinese flag and screaming "We won" went viral online. But what makes this story interesting is that Zhang Xue doesn't really sound like a corporate CEO. he still talks like a racer and mechanic. After the latest victory, he joked that the team is getting used to winning championships. Some people called that arrogant, others saw it differently. Because underneath the confidence, there's also honesty. Zhang himself admits that Chinese motorcycle racing still lacks one thing: top Chinese riders. Right now, the team's title challenge depends heavily on Ducati, the experienced French veteran. Zhang has openly said his next dream is to develop Chinese riders capable of winning at this level too. And honestly, that's what makes this feel bigger than just racing results. This isn't only about one motorcycle brand winning races. It's about a country that spent decades trying to catch up in motorsports, suddenly believing it belongs on the same grid as the traditional powers. In a way, Zhang Xue reminds a lot of people of Soichiro Honda, another mechanic-turned-dreamer who believed motorcycles could carry a nation's ambitions onto the world stage. Whether ZXMOTO actually wins the full championship this year is still uncertain. The season is long, and Yamaha and Ducati are not going anywhere. But one thing is already clear: people around the world are finally paying attention. And for a guy who once chased a TV crew through the rain just to be seen, that's probably a pretty satisfying feeling. And that's it for this episode of Sideline Story. From a small repair shop in rural China to the podiums of Superbike World Championship, the story of Zhang Xue reminds us that sometimes the wildest dreams are the ones worth chasing. And maybe this is only the beginning for Chinese motorcycle racing on the world stage. Thanks for listening. I'm Tian Yu. Take care, and we'll catch you next time.